Hello and welcome to your first daily upload week Empires Frozen. So today is the first episode. What if the USA made an empire? So the US is the number one global superpower, and this scenario is going to be what if they have an even bigger empire? So let's start. Wait one sec. I just forgot one little part of America. So let's start it with an invasion. They are not going to invade into Africa. They will invade somewhere in the Caribbean. Where, may you ask? Nicaragua. Now they feel as if Nicaragua has just, like, I believe that Nicaragua is like an pro-Russian government, so they just want to get rid of it from the Americas and establish, as they say, a pro-American government, more like full annexation. As we see American troops go into Panama Canal and land or go via California. They do the logic, and once they get to here, they agree. They send a declaration of war to Nicaragua, and Nicaragua thinks it has weeks to prepare. But the day after the declaration of war was sent, the US military invades. And yes, all the Empire scenarios have their militaries buffed as they go around here, and they start circling the capital. Let me actually turn on the rivers map. So, bam, and here I'm going to turn off this so a better view of the battle because it's the only city on this map here. Also, all alliances are not in this scenario, but we see that the Americans start invading this river here, cutting off this entire northern half as they meet up with Lake Nicaragua, and they start going towards the capital, completely encircling it and capturing the capital. But they do have to be out there guerrilla warfare, so they go into the north first and capitulate it, and then go via the capital over here and quickly stop any guerrilla warfare from happening. In the Treaty of Mexico City, we see that the US annexes all of this and leaves Nicaragua as a puppet state in these regions here. So that's the first war of this empires happening. So, and from having the troops in Nicaragua, they declare war on Costa Rica. Now, this would be pretty easy for the Americans to capture, as I believe these guys have no troops. As American and Nicaraguan troops enter in via the north and quickly capture the capital, and yeah, Costa Rica stood no chance as the treaty is not full annexation by the Americans, but full annexation by Nicaragua. So this war was mainly to get Nicaragua on the good side, and for them to not break away if they get into a bigger war. So they just decided to invade into Costa Rica, and also to show their strength. So this is the American Empire. So far, not much difference if you look at the map. The only difference in Central America as we see that the US invades yet again another nation, this time it not being in North America, but it is in Africa. They decide to invade Mauritania, not the whole world, Mauritania. The reason being, they just want resources and on. They so see the Americans make a landing over in the north, and they start. Yeah, this was going to be very quick, but the Mauritanians do push back a little bit, but it's all gone as their capital, I believe, Nusatrat is captured, and they surrender over to the Americans as America does the Treaty of Casablanca. I fully annexes Mauritania into the domain. Still, if you didn't know that it happened, and if you were just looking at this the white map, you would think that not much has changed except for Costa. Like if you didn't have capitals either, you'd think Costa Rica invaded Nicaragua, and that's it. That's all the changes that you would think. But now we are going to see another invasion by the USA, but back in the Americas, this time South America, as they invade into Venezuela using the same justification as in our timeline where they captured Maduro, but now it's the new president, don't know her name, but they land outside the capital and quickly go in and capture the capital, and they force Venezuela to surrender. Yep, that was very quickly. They are very quick. They are like just they are what to call. They are what facing against guerrilla warfare in the Amazon rainforest, but they just fully annex it, and they'll deal with it later. Well, during this video, but off camera, like when we're not focused in on that region, they will deal with it. As we see the US invade yet again another nation, this time being two nations, Panama and Colombia. Now this is very weird for the Americans, but if you think of it, it's not really that unusual. An empire would like to unite their holdings and set a border between their claims, and that is exactly what the US is trying to do. As American troops just in Venezuela after the invasion moved from the former capital and entered in and quickly captured two major cities, threatening another one before Colombia could even realize. Like they thought that the US would do it, as they captured three more major cities. Like they never thought that the US would invade. They do, however, push back against the Americans, mainly in over here in the south, but then the Americans invade in the jungly parts over here, with the Colombians pushing back, but the Nicaraguans enter into Panama, quickly capturing the capital, Panama City, and surrendering in Panama over to Nicaragua. It was promised that the treaty, it was promised that Nicaragua would gain most of Panama, as we see that America invades here, with Nicaragua landing passing the Darien Strip. I'm just gonna color it in. Like, technically, they were not owned this area, but yeah, I'm just ignoring it. In our geography, as the troops in the north have captured a lot of land, but over here in the south, that whole area is liberated, with Colombian troops starting to enter into Venezuela. And when the Venezuelans get news of this from like news outlets, people in Caracas start to rebel away from the American government. But the Americans, they were not expecting that. So they're still fighting in Colombia, working on getting the capital, as the country then joins the war, and that is going to be Ecuador, as they join it to gain some more northern land. Yeah, they just want land, as they invade into the northern parts of, well, the southern parts of Colombia, capturing this city and meeting up with the Americans and agreeing that Ecuador will help them not lose some territory, but they do lose a little strip of lands, as the American troops enter back into Venezuela and just surrender the entire Venezuelan rebellion and then enter into here, capturing all of it and entering over here, doing a surprise attack over to the capital, almost surrounding it as Colombian troops start to flee. The mainland troops fleeing into Peru and Brazil, mainly into Brazil, and setting up along the Amazon rainforest, as these guys just set sail into the ocean, going over to like China and Russia, as the Americans have captured it, and they stop it with around 10,000 troops left, and they just capitulate it, and Colombia surrenders. And now it is time for the Treaty of Lima. And here is the Treaty of Lima. So let's go over this Treaty of Lima, starting with Ecuador. So they are going to get these southern provinces of Colombia, making them northern provinces of Ecuador, so big change for them. They're now northern provinces instead of southern provinces, and Ecuador has gained a lot of land. Meanwhile, over here in Venezuela, the Americans, yeah, it's just the, oh wait, I forgot to finish this border here. The Americans gain all of these northern provinces along this like kind of peninsula area, and then just other northwestern territories of Colombia, and then they also annex these areas here, including this border panhandle, because I just want to remove it. Like, I know there's probably some historic reason as to why it's there, but it doesn't really look good on the map, and it's hard to like book it in. And they annex up to here with only this small area over here of the old Venezuelan Colombian border being the same, as the last port like land gain of the Americans is over here in Panama, annexing the whole entire Panama Canal region, and so it's no longer a capital. It's now under American control, as we see that Nicaragua gains all the territories they were promised, all of the lands here, and they annex it into their domain. But Nicaragua actually kind of benefiting from the American control. Like, they did lose all of here, but they have now gained Costa Rica and half of Panama. Now you may be wondering what is happening with the rest of Colombia and Panama. Well, it is being made into a combined puppet state. And that puppet state being Colombia. So Colombia has taken over the Darren Strip areas over here. And now, like, if you were to look at a blank map, you could definitely tell that there was some changes going on, but you'd assume it was a war between what you think Costa Rica and Venezuela and Ecuador and Panama. You think that was what happened, not that it was an American invasion of those regions. You wouldn't really think about that. As the next war happens, and it's gonna occur in North America. Now, where could they invade? The Caribbean, Mexico, Canada. They're invading Canada. They're invading the northern neighbors. And I'm gonna pause while I fill in the rest of Canada. This is probably the biggest war of this scenario, or yeah, I think it's the biggest war, but it's one country because it's against the second biggest nation. Now, the plan is to just capture all the cities and then force a surrendering. Now, Canada did think that it would happen, so they invaded to Alaska. Why is this island here? You're not Canadian, but American? I don't know. And this is no, that's supposed to be Canadian. As the Canadian troops just capture pretty much all the habitable territories of Alaska, as the American troops invade first in British Columbia and then over here in just not in Spain, in the Toronto region, and have some all these cities, Treaties, because they are buffed. They then invade via Maine, capturing Quebec City, and then capturing Montreal, and almost capturing Ottawa. Meanwhile, they then focusing on just capturing some of, not the whole world, some of the cities over in Alberta and Saskatchewan, capturing these areas with like East and Manitoba, then capturing Victoria Island and over in the Great Lakes, encompassing all of the Great Lakes, and then Ontario. Ontario is captured, and so is Newfoundland, and all the habitable areas that they did. But then they realized, they have invaded Alaska, and they land in Anchorage and just, they're not invading Alaska anymore, and they've just captured good portion of British Columbia, and after a couple of months, Canada surrenders over to America, with the peace treaty being for annexation. The outcome of the Astana Treaty is full annexation by America. Now, if you were looking at a blank map, you could tell that America and Canada have united. But like, if you're looking at it from the modern day, you think that was the only thing America was involved in, not all of this here. As America will invade once again a northern nation, but this time multiple nations. They invade Western Sahara, Morocco, Algeria, and Mali, being a little bit ambitious, but they declared war on Morocco, Western Sahara, and Mali first, but then Algeria joined, as the American forces in Mauritania, focusing on the capital of Mali first and capturing it, with Mali surrendering, and then they invade up into Western Sahara. They captured the capital, which I believe is under Moroccan occupation, and well, most of it is, as they just capture all of this already from Morocco, quickly capturing the capital. But there is pushback, as they have to fight for the capital again, and the Americans win as they go up to the Atlas Mountains, close to Albania's capital, and they get pushed back, but they fight again over here, quickly capturing the capital with them moving over here. But yeah, it doesn't look good for them, as they just surrender. And now it is time for the Treaty of Madrid. And this is the Treaty of Madrid. As we see that America promised Israel autonomy, and they gain it, but in America, they're still a part of America, but they're autonomous. They're not fully controlled by them, as the next part was annexation of the rest of Mali into the colony, like something like this, as they then annexed Western Sahara and Algeria. They fully annexed them, looking something like this. Ignore that little part of the border that's still left. As over here, they did something really unique over in Morocco. They gift land to who? This area of land is gifted to the Spanish for hosting them. They've not done it for any other war, but they were like, that's a goodwill, as they then fully annexed Morocco into the empire, the Western African Empire, and that is this war completed with a kind of surprising factor happening. But America has really expanded. Like, if we click on it, they are 1,092,120. I think that's 1,000,000 in 0,192 or so. 100,000. I do not know how to say it. But if we click on Warsaw, let's just get the idea. Nah, not the ideologies. We'll click on the population and just click on all the blue of the population. But not all the pixels. just some of the big ones. And clicking on these. Don't forget, like, one or two of, or three of these islands. These islands up here. Sakharin. Oh, I clicked on the border. Their uncontested regions is roughly 850,000 pixels, way less than America, as the American Empire over here is now the biggest nation on Earth. Yeah, that's probably because of Canada and the overseas territories. As we see that America declares that it will do one last one in a region that they have not invaded yet, so it could be either Europe, Asia, or Oceania. Where will it be? It will be, and what I say is Oceania. Well, yeah, Oceania. It's highly contested what area of the world. And that is the Philippines. I personally would say the Strait of Malacca going here. They are sometimes, maybe, sometimes not even included Philippines, sometimes included Philippines. But yeah, they invade the Philippines. But like, they're the largest and they're the strongest nation on Earth at this point. So yeah, America has someone from the south, then captures the capital, and yep, and the Treaty of, let's say, New Delhi is full annexation of the Philippines, with this being the new American empire. And I'll see y'all in tomorrow's video. This is what if the UK made an empire. I have a schedule until Wednesday, 7th of April 2027 of every single video, and included subtitles. So on the 29th of March, what if Europe United, it will release, and like, what if the British Empire returned to 2027? What if World War III occurred? I should probably do like the dates, probably 1970s ish. And like, what if Asia was sunk? What if NATO won Operation Unthinkable? Those were all released in the new year. And like, there's two other daily upload weeks on this. One being an alternate history of the world daily upload week, and one being, the last one being a Rixo daily upload week. And Wednesdays, what if China made an empire? What if Russia made an empire? Thursday. Friday, what if Spain made an empire? Saturday, what if Turkey made an empire? Sunday, what if Ethiopia made an empire? And Monday, what if Poland made an empire? With alternate history of the world scheduled for here. Because I hope that I'll have the voice acting by the 31st. I want to postpone it. If you're watching this, I'm not gonna you either say who it is, but please give me the the voice recordings. But you may have by Monday. Like, this is 1,000 words and 16 pages of just a schedule. And I will see you all tomorrow for what if the UK formed an empire. Goodbye.